Yeah, this is the story scheme underwater after the wicked Hurricane Melissa.
My boss, all I have to cover up car and house and everything underwater.
People, I beg on you, please, people, I beg on you, please. Like literally, I don't want to go up on my knee, but I beg on you, people, please, I beg on you.
Oh God, it's terrible. I never seen nothing like this before. Me hungry, me thirsty, me not no water, everything mash up. Me 6 burners, 2 of me 3 bed, everything mash up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, she's okay with me, you know, so me and her going to check my fear out.
Tia and Tina Clayton didn't come home as celebrities. They came home as witnesses to a tragedy still unfolding in real time. When they stepped into Grange Hill, the air was thick with dust, grief, and the kind of silence that only follows a storm that takes too much. Their smiles offered comfort, but their faces revealed the truth. This community is far from okay. Melissa didn't just tear through Westmoreland, it tore open every weakness Jamaica has tried to hide. Families were still sweeping mud from bedrooms, children waded through broken zinc, and neighbors traded stories of close calls that shouldn't have happened. Yet while the twins were handing out water and embracing heartbroken residents, a disturbing realization settled over the island. If 2 young athletes were providing more structure, comfort, and leadership than the systems built to protect us, then the real disaster wasn't Melissa. It was everything exposed afterward.
I'm in front of my gate that. Jesus have mercy, God. Look on the road. I rode that now. I rode that people for Bertrand, I rode that.
Correct God, family now, Father God. Should make you reach your heart, you know better. Why no say I reach you again, though, not true? What is it?
Hurricane Melissa didn't sneak up on Jamaica. It hovered for days, building strength as the nation watched anxiously. Meteorologists sounded the alarm, forecasters gave precise timelines, and satellite images showed a monster forming just miles offshore. But when Melissa finally made landfall with 185-mile-per-hour winds, it became obvious Jamaica was nowhere near prepared. Homes snapped in half like matchsticks, communities were flooded in minutes, and emergency hotlines went silent while terrified families begged for help. Despite all the warnings, too little had been done. No large-scale evacuations, no fully stocked shelters, and no rapid response teams positioned where they were needed most. For many, Melissa felt less like a natural disaster and more like a brutal reminder that time means nothing if leadership wastes it. And as the island tried to recover, another question emerged. How did a wealthier, better equipped Jamaica still collapse the same way it did decades ago? After Hurricane Gilbert devastated Jamaica in 1988, the country vowed never to be caught off guard again. Back then, poverty was widespread, technology was limited, and warnings came too late for most families to prepare. Today, Jamaica is richer, better connected, and equipped with world-class forecasting systems. So how did Melissa, nearly 40 years later, cause almost the same level of destruction and economic loss? Shockingly, many of the lessons learned after Gilbert were simply ignored. Detailed storm surge research for Black River sat untouched. Evacuation plans existed only on paper, and instead of using decades of scientific data, the nation repeated the mistakes of the past as though history had never happened. Melissa didn't just bring back memories of Gilbert, it revealed that progress was an illusion. And while that realization stung, it wasn't the most troubling discovery that surfaced after the storm. 2 weeks after Melissa's landfall, the western parishes still resemble disaster zones frozen in time. Entire communities look gutted. Homes crushed, roofs peeled off, farmlands destroyed, and new developments flooded beyond recognition. In some areas, more than 60% of homes suffered damage. With no drinking water, residents filled jugs from polluted rivers, drainage canals, or puddles left behind by the storm. Hunger became so severe that looting erupted, pushing both the mayor and JCF to warn the public about contaminated goods. Farmers walk through fields that once fed hundreds, now reduced to mud and carcasses. For many residents, survival after the storm became harder than surviving the storm itself. And through all this, frustration grew as people realized the support they desperately needed wasn't coming fast enough. But even in this darkness, one moment of hope stood out above the rest. In the middle of the devastation, Tia and Tina Clayton became symbols of resilience the island didn't expect. They didn't just show up with cameras watching. They showed up ready to work. They walked through debris-filled lanes, comforted families who lost everything, delivered food and water, and listened to the stories exhausted residents needed someone, anyone, to hear. Their presence brought life back to a community drowning in despair. The Claytons reminded Jamaica that leadership isn't confined to government offices. Sometimes it rises from the same streets that raised you. Their compassion carried more weight than any press briefing, and their actions hit harder than any official statement. But their impact also triggered a painful question. Why were two young athletes providing faster, more personal relief than national agencies built for emergencies? Hurricane Melissa was powerful, but it didn't break Jamaica. The storm only revealed what was already crumbling. Agencies were underfunded, specialists were underpaid, critical research was ignored, political interference weakened institutions meant to save lives. Melissa didn't expose new problems, it spotlighted old ones, and as the Claytons walked through their battered hometown offering the support that larger systems failed to provide, Jamaica saw a glimpse of what true leadership looks like: compassionate, present, and accountable. The painful truth is that Jamaica can survive hurricanes. It has done so for generations. What the nation cannot survive is a disaster management system that collapses every time it's needed most. The next hurricane doesn't have to be as strong as Melissa to devastate Jamaica. If the leadership remains the same, the damage will be just as severe. The question now isn't what happened, it's will Jamaica fix this before it happens again?
Water rain is serious, you know? What the?
As Jamaica starts the long road to recovery, one truth has become impossible to ignore. Hurricane Melissa may have passed, but the questions it raised are still here, staring the nation in the face, from the broken homes in Grange Hill to the Claytons' quiet acts of courage. The storm revealed the best and worst of who we are. The strength of the people was undeniable, yet the weakness of the system built to protect them was even clearer. And while communities rebuild with bare hands and borrowed hope, the country must decide whether this will be another tragedy we forget or the moment we finally demand real change. Because if nothing shifts, if leadership doesn't rise, then the next storm won't just test Jamaica's resilience, it will expose its breaking point, and that's a risk the island can no longer afford to take.